Hey lady, welcome to the Postpartum on Purpose podcast. If we haven't met, my name is Anne Marie and I'm wife to James and mom to 4 beautiful kids, ranging from 9 down to 1 with one on the way. My hope is to help other women experience postpartum as a time of grit, growth, and grace. This is episode 43. Hi lady, how are ya? At time of recording, it is Spy Wednesday of Holy Week. We did an activity with my kids this morning that was fun. We'd never done it before, but I was reading about it in the Catholic All Year Liturgical Living Compendium by Kendra Tierney. And she talked about hiding 30 pieces of silver, so we chose dimes, around the house for the kids to find, and then teaching them after the fact, when everybody had found them all, about what can happen to us when the desire for money gets the better of us. That was a lot of fun. It didn't take very long because my husband hid them all in just one room. It was neat, though, to have that teaching moment with our kids afterwards and then to ask them, what do you think that meant? What do you think that was about? And then nobody connected the dots between Judas betraying Jesus for 30 pieces of silver and what they had just done. My oldest was talking about the woman who had the 2 coins, the widow, who put one into or both into the collection plate, and other Bible stories having to do with money, but we were the ones who had to tie back the Judas connection for Spy Wednesday. All that being said, there will not be an episode next week in honor of the Easter octave. So if you are listening to this close to time of recording, there will be a week off, and then I will be back, I think, with a guest episode 2 weeks from now. Today, I wanted to keep things quite brief, though I've said that before, haven't I? Before long episodes. I wanted to keep things quite brief by just talking about when your child goes to the pediatrician's office for vaccinations, some things you can do to be safe while you are there. I have experienced a vaccine error with 2 of my 4 children now. One was 4 or 5 years ago now, and the other was about a year ago. The first had to do with my child just being given a vaccine that I didn't want them to have. So it was a recommended vaccine at the time, but it wasn't the one that I did want them to have. It was the chickenpox vaccine, and I just wanted to hold off for the time being on my kids getting that. I'd like them to get chickenpox naturally if they can. If that hasn't happened by the time they're 10, I think is the age I had set in my head. If none of them get it by the time they're 10, then we will get the chickenpox vaccine. But at that time, I didn't want my daughter to have that. I wanted her to have, I can't remember what the other one was, but she didn't receive the one I wanted, and she did receive the chickenpox vaccine. So was it a problem per se that she got the wrong one? No, not exactly. It just was concerning to me that that could happen. And that can happen because unlike when I was working in the hospital as a nurse, those medications don't get scanned before they're given. So they can be pulled from the Pyxis, which is the medication machine or whatever the name of the machine brand is. They can be pulled from the machine and given to the patient, and nobody is the wiser until afterwards. And that's what happened right before we were leaving, or as we were leaving. The nurse ran out into the parking lot and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, there's been a mistake." So that can happen because those medications are not scanned in any way. And in the hospital, we're making sure you're getting the right medication, but also it's going to the right patient in the right amount and at the right time. But if those medications are not scanned and somebody's just pulling them out of a machine, well, especially if it's a medication that could be given at that time and for that age, developmentally, that's how something like that can happen. If you are choosing to get some shots but not others for your child, and I would say probably actually just in general, it is a great idea to always ask to look at the vial before the medications are given to your child. And that way you can just double check, oh, this is the one that I wanted my child to have, and that's what they're getting. Now, the second vaccine error was when my son was 4 months old, I believe, and you may or may not be familiar, but several of the vaccines that are available, Tdap is one, MMR is another, and there might be a third one. Several of the vaccines that are on the recommended schedule for young children were originally derived from aborted fetal cells. Now, do they contain any aborted fetal tissue now? No, they do not. But when possible, my family chooses to use ethically derived vaccines when they're available. So if there's no alternative, then we will choose the one that was originally derived unethically. But if we've got options, we'll pick the one that was derived ethically. And then if you want to learn more about that, you can just Google aborted fetal cells vaccines, and it'll tell you which ones they are, and then you can figure out what the alternatives are when they're available. For Tdap, there is an ethically derived alternative, but what I learned is that shot also contains hepatitis B, the hepatitis B vaccine. Well, what we were doing was a little out of the ordinary for the pediatrician's office, and so they brought in that shot and several others that were all recommended at that time, and my son received them. And the next day I got a call from the pediatrician saying, I'm really sorry. The shot for Tdap also contained Hep B, plus your son got the Hep B shot, which is regular. So he got 2 doses of the Hep B vaccine. Have there been any long-term effects that we can tell? No, there have not. But again, if you are doing something out of the norm, so to speak, whether that's saying you do want one shot but you don't want another, or you would like a version of a shot that is not typically given, just be aware, and I don't mean that you have to be paranoid, but just be aware that those are times when you could have medication error. So that's just something to be aware of. Again, I'm not telling you to freak you out. I am just telling you, hey, this is something to have on your radar, worth considering next time you go. I think that's pretty much it on the topic today, lady. I hope you have a beautiful week. Until we talk again. If you are enjoying the podcast and have not already, I would love for you to rate it, both with the stars, and then also to leave a written review, because that can give somebody else who's introduced to it an idea of what they might expect from it, especially somebody who doesn't know me already. And if you would share this episode or any of the other ones that you've enjoyed with a friend, I would love that. Talk to you later.